So it's with a little reluctance I want to do this because it'll probably be misunderstood. Because I am very critical of how Daniel does his channel, sometimes puts out content, and even his judgment about certain things. But it's like, okay, but that's his perspective. And, a lot of times it's fair. It's very biased, but it's like, okay, I can see where he's coming from. But this one was just a complete mess. So he's going to pronounce upon the undesirability and impossibility of an MCU style universe with the Tolkien adaptations in its own cinematic universe for really lousy reasons.
Look at the conception of Middle Earth as a whole, and it's a little bit different. It did not have thousands of writers and artists coming in to create all kinds of different stories in multiple universes, and instead it was conceived and mostly written by a World War I veteran who, yes, you're gonna bring up the allegory quote, no, he was not writing a specific allegory, but was widely influenced by his own experiences in the war and also watching this rapid industrialization of.
So the basic gist is the MCU is basically stupid garbage. Some of it is well done, some of it is not well done, and he's enjoyed a lot of it, but it's just popcorn filler nonsense. We can't take it too seriously. So really, we don't want that to happen to Tolkien. So let's shut down this idea of a cinematic universe preemptively because it's just not a good idea. And though this video is pretty bad and awful, it just ventured into complete insanityville when he let out of the bag that somehow he likes the video games, he wants more video games, and yes, granted, none of that is in the lore or canonical, but that's okay. So, an MCU style cinematic universe with Tolkien? No. A video game universe with Tolkien? Yes.
Massive, sprawling universe in the thematic sense. Nearly everything Tolkien wrote for this universe was serving either a purpose to enhance the themes he told in the main meat of this universe in Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, or their love letters to the fairy tales that inspired him to create and essentially invent a new genre when he put out this modern fairy tale. And I think that distinction is actually a really important one to make. Tolkien did not set out to write an infinitely sprawling universe that would grow forever.
Okay. I don't even know where to begin. So let's just try to make at least three major points. One, I have been mainly disappointed with the MCU because I'm a big Marvel comic book fan, but I would recognize some of the films, granted, not many of the films, do seem to have some artistic integrity. So to preemptively say it's all silly Hollywood trash shows you're not really watching the films or not really analyzing them seriously with any genuine rigor. What you're saying about the MCU doesn't make a lot of sense because you're just preemptively thinking it is silly trash. Well, you have to show us it's silly trash, not just assume that. Secondly, it's not for you to decide what's going to happen with Tolkien. At least for a while, the Tolkien estate will decide. If they want to try a cinematic universe, they're going to try a cinematic universe. That's beyond our control. The other thing is we are fair when judging the results. Now, I myself actually agree with him. I'm skeptical that would be a good idea, but I can't say logically it would be impossible to do it. Clearly, they can do it, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And three, you really are misrepresenting Tolkien because he said the complete opposite. What you're saying is, guys, he just wrote the one story and that's it, we're done. No, he literally said the opposite. So I don't think you understand what Tolkien is even up to. I'm sure he's read the books, and I'm sure he's seen the live action Peter Jackson films, but it seems he has a very small or truncated idea of what the Tolkien adaptations are. Is a very distorted idea of the mythology. Tolkien was actually very specific that he was doing a fairy story, not a fairy tale. Might seem like a minor point of semantics, but he was very, very consistent here, at least, that he didn't like a lot of what Walt Disney did. He didn't like what a lot of French writers did. I think he's thinking of that tradition of the fairy tale. And he would actually agree with Daniel at several points that that kind of stuff is not what he wanted to do. He wanted to do his own mythology in a very specific manner. But he also did think that others could carry it on and add to it and contribute to it as long as they kept within a certain range and tone. I find nowhere where he says, this is the story, that's it, we're done. He is more than allowing other people to take over and do things with mythology. So why you think it is just the Lord of the Rings is the only story? That doesn't make sense. We have the Silmarillion, we have the Untold Tales, we have the Hobbit, we have many, many other stories with Tom Bombadil So you just don't know what the hell you're talking about. It just seems he's not a fake fan, but he's a very modern fan. And for him, it's about Lord of the Rings, the books, and Lord of the Rings, the movies, live action with Peter Jackson. Well, the Tolkien universe is much bigger and vaster than that. So you just narrowing the scope arbitrarily and then having an insanely contradictory position that, yeah, but I want more of the video game universe.
Tolkien was telling a fairy tale. All of this is why I'm actually happy to see that apparently the current plan for Lord of the Rings is to push more into video game space. You immediately get more leniency from fans, who even in stories like Shadow of Mordor, which massively betray Lord of the Rings lore, they understand we're here for a fun time and they just enjoy being in the Middle-earth setting. And I think there's far more gas in the
How? Why? In what possible multiverse of madness would Tolkien approve of these video game adaptations? How is that even possible in principle? You're not making a whole lot of sense. So, I like Daniel. I don't hate him as much as other people, but you can kind of see why people are suspicious of his content because it seems like he's opening it up for debate and saying, hey guys, let's have a respectful back and forth. But no, he's gaslighting. You're trying to frame the entire discussion in a false, phony way, distorting the text and distorting what Tolkien himself wrote and said about these things for why you just like some of the video games. I don't even understand. I get it. Some of the MCU films, including that, worked for him, but I'm going to need a little bit more to say MCU stinky bad, Tolkien cinematic universe bad idea, guys. But let's open ourselves up to the video games. Like, huh? This is just really crazy nonsense. So I don't know. Maybe he has a good point here and there, but boy, this was just a mess of confusion. So I think this video does richly deserve a downvote, but it is worth going through, but mostly to mock it, not take it seriously.